Hello guys, I've managed a dozen of projects in sprints in Jira, and I found that 90% of teams start to work with sprint wrong. They miss the most important part of preparations, they do wrong configuration of Jira boards, and it just had bad results, not positive experience for them, and it doesn't help at all. I will show you my approach to sprint configuration, how I do that. We will talk about what is sprint, why to use it, what to do before starting use sprint in Jira. And then in the practical part, I will show you how to configure sprint for single project in Jira and show a trick how to configure sprints to be able to work on multiple projects in Jira in the same sprint board. So let's review what is sprint at all. In Agile, specifically in Scrum, sprint defines as a fixed learn time-boxed iteration, typically from 1 to 4 weeks, during which a Scrum team works to complete a set of deliverables from the product backlog to deliver a usable, potentially shippable increment of the product. The most important part in this definition is that the deliver a usable, shippable increment of the product. The idea to work and split software development into sprints, into iterations, to be able to deliver some products and quickly receive feedbacks from stakeholder from one side. From the second side, you have a fixed time period. It's short time period because 4 weeks it's not too long, when the team during this period must deliver some product. It's very important also from psychological side that you have short period and your team understands that they must deliver some results during that short period. When you have clear requirements, you use iterative approach. You split your project into smaller parts and you deliver end project, working project, at the end of this path when the last iteration ends. And incremental approach, when you have limited requirements can change anytime, you just deliver end working product every iteration, receive feedback from your stakeholders, then you or upgrade it or delete it and build the totally new project. That's the main difference. In incremental approach, every sprint you must deliver working product which stakeholders can use it and try it. In iterative approach, in every sprint you may not deliver the working product, and the working product should be delivered at the end of all iteration you planned. When to use sprint in software development? First, you decide to use Agile and Scrum in software development by selecting iterative or incremental approach for that. Second, you want to have clear visibility into team progress. Working in sprint allows it. Your team, it's very important, know how to work in Scrum. You have a tool how to manage a sprint. In our example, we will use Jira. You have a responsible person on sprint management. It can be a project manager or team lead or some person in team QA or developer who want to take that role. Scrum Master in some organizations. And you're ready to regular delivery of working features. The most important is to select a project you are going to work in sprints. Yes, so it's preparation. Then this part, the most team skip it. The most project managers can skip it. They just stakeholders with managers decide that we will use Scrum because we are in 2025. And I saw a lot of examples when this part wasn't discussed with development team. And it's very important just to schedule one or few meetings with team, describe them what do you want to achieve with help of switching approach to software development from the one you use to some Scrum approach, yes, and talk with your team, explain them your goals, your needs, and work together on this new approach to software development. Then you need to deal with team and stakeholders about sprint duration. If you don't have a lot of requirements or requirements can change, use 2 week sprints. Don't use 1 week sprints because retrospective meetings, planning meetings, daily meetings will take most of the time during this 1 week, and you, in this case, you will not have time on the development. You will just spend your time on meetings. So if you don't have clear requirements, use 2 week sprints. But if you have good requirements, you know that environment where you work will not change very often, you can try use 3 or 4 weeks. Leave comment below this video what is your sprint duration. You need to confirm a software development workflow with your team. It can be related to your Git flow or to rules of software development in your specific team. And then my recommendation is to make a plan at least from 5 sprints instead. It will help you to understand your strategic goals during the sprint planning. Now you have the minimum checklist before proceed with sprint configuration. So let's go to Jira and I'll show you how to configure sprint for the single project in Jira. Don't forget to put a like over here and subscribe to my channel. First of all, you need to create a project where you will manage your Jira projects. Press project, create a projects button, then go to software development type of project, and important, select Scrum type of project. Use template. Over here, select a company managed project because it has a lot of advanced features. Put a name of your project. So I already prepared some project names. So let's do it like web app for task management. Remember to use quick key. I recommend you use only 2 letters in the project key. It will reduce your time in future when you will have a tons of tasks. We can connect Confluence space over here, but let's skip it and go to the project directly. We created a Scrum type of project in Jira. You see over here, you have WA board, and this is the board where you are going to manage your project. For all Scrum types projects in Jira, on this interface, you have the button and tab backlog. Go to the backlog, and here you can create a sprint. By default, you see one sprint was created, WA sprint. But let's rename it and, for example, put name web. Duration, you can select default 3-week duration. Select some start date by default, Sunday, and it will automatically use that 3 weeks sprints. Update. Then to create new sprints, you have over here a button, create sprint. You just press create, and Jira is automatically adding these numbers of sprints. So based on your name. Important when you modify the sprint name, you can do it from this edit sprint. You can type over here 6, update it, and when you create sprint, it will automatically create number 7 of the sprint. Look, so be careful with these numbers. It just on the underhood, Jira just add +1 to the last number of sprint. Now you need to split all the tasks related to your project between the sprints. You can use this interface, create, and let's create first task over here. Yes, it's automatically create an issue and assign it to sprint. You can check it, and you see the label sprint was added over here, and task is automatically added to the sprint. You can remove this task from the sprint, and it will automatically move to backlog. Let's do like that. Remove it, and you see, oh, backlog is empty. It needs time to load. I refresh the page, and this task is in backlog. Yeah, it looks like you configure the sprint, but it's just a beginning. You add some tasks, you have sprint names, but there are a lot of sprint boards configurations you must configure before proceed with the sprint. Go to the board settings, and let's review each of configuration we can change here. So first, board name, administrator, location, you can switch the board between multiple projects. Board filter. Right now, this board we have is based on all the tasks which exist in our project. But with help of GQL, you can modify these rules. I will show you in my future videos how to use GQL and run filters you need to be much more effective in Jira as you are right now. And now working days. You can configure the time zone you use for Jira. You can configure what working days do you have. Maybe you don't work on Fridays. And you can also add specific holidays so Jira can understand what days it can skip in the reporting. Then you need to select estimation type for your tasks. In most ways, it's story points, because in Scrum you must use story points for task estimation, but there are a lot of teams who use Scrum, work in sprints, but use original time estimates. It's when you have estimates of all your tasks in hours, not in story points. Let's use original time estimates and enable time tracking. There are 3 fields in Jira responsible for estimating of the tasks: original estimates, time spent, and remaining estimates. So the sprint board will use values in remaining estimates field to calculate how much time left to work on this or another tasks. Then you also can enable or disable your timeline. In this video, we will skip the timeline for our project. In future videos, I will show you how to work with that. And you need to configure the layout, the board for your sprints. Remember, at the beginning, I told you that you need to confirm a software development workflow. So in this case, you must mirror your software development workflow into Jira board, so it can easily represent the actual real life tasks into the Jira board. I recommend leave this to-do column. It will show the list of tasks you agreed add to the sprints and work on, but you didn't start to work on them yet. Then in progress column, when developers start to work on the issue, it put it into in progress. And I recommend add a couple more. It's code review. And let's assume that you have one QA for your software development team, and you don't need to somehow to track testing in progress or ready to test. Just add column testing. And in some cases, you can need ready to deploy column if you don't merge your code to production immediately after testing. So these 6, in my opinion, minimum required columns for Jira board, which can help you easily manage your sprints. There are additional configuration for sprints as swim lines. It means how the task will be categorized on the board. I prefer use assignee for these configurations, and unassigned tasks show above. Yes, just to understand some problems on the top, but you can play around with it. Also, you can modify card colors, card layouts, and quick filters, but it's not for this video. We'll talk about it later, or leave a comment if you want to know more how to configure this and play around, make some tests with these card colors. And voila, you did your configurations. You have list of tasks, but it's empty. You see board is empty. Why it's empty? It's empty because you just add task to backlog and didn't start your sprint. To start sprint, you need to go to this backlog tab, select sprint you want to work with, and press start sprint button. You see, Jira helps you to manage better your projects, and it says that work items WA1, 2, 3, 4, and one other don't have a value for the estimate field. You must fill all the values for estimates before you start a sprint. You can modify sprint name, duration. Right now, let's select 2 weeks by default from today. You can also add sprint goal and press start. So when you start the sprint, you see all your tasks are displayed over here by default in this to-do column. Then I recommend copy this URL, save this URL in your favorites, send this URL to your teammates because you will use this board every day. This URL will be the same during your whole software development process when you work on this project web app for task management, and that's the main benefit of it. And imagine you work on this sprint. You complete all the tasks. Yes. And one of is not completed. And you planned also sprint number 2. And you planned sprint number 2, whereas there are some tasks. Let's add them. Yes. And you want to start to work on sprint number 2. You cannot do that until you complete the sprint. To complete the sprint, you need to first to have a meeting with team, discuss what was done, what was not done, make some retrospective meeting, and do all the Scrum required procedures. And when you finally decide that you want to close it, press this complete sprint button. And as you see, Jira recommends you to move open work items to the next sprint. You can select the sprint when you want to work on this item. In our case, is this WA5 task. The main goal of sprints is to complete all the works you agreed to in the single sprint. But in real life, it happens that sometimes not all the tasks can be completed. And you need to build a policy with your stakeholders, with team, how to work with this kind of tasks. It's, in my opinion, it should be specifically based on your needs and on your requirements. And it should be confirmed with all team members and stakeholders. Let's complete sprint, move this task to sprint number 2. You can also create retrospective document in Confluence for this meeting, but let's uncheck it. And press complete sprint button. As you see, first sprint was completed, it's not here, and the second sprint is opened. Now you need to press start sprint for the second one, select the same stuff, and press start. And what is cool, you, for example, first week ends, you start new sprint, and the tasks you did complete in the previous one are not on this board. This is also one of the benefits to work on sprints in Jira, that all work you complete in previous sprint left in previous sprint. What was in Vegas left in Vegas. What was in previous sprint left in previous sprint, and you don't see a mess of completed task in last column on your Jira board. That's the benefit. The problem over here can be when you add a lot of ready to deploy tasks and don't deploy your code to production, and every sprint you can see a lot of tasks from previous sprint over here. But you need to deal with your teams and stakeholders how to fix the processes inside. So that's how to configure sprint in Jira for a single project. But sometimes there are cases when your team work on multiple projects during the same sprint, and you need to have one board to see all the work your software development team are working in current sprint in the one place. Now, for this approach, you need to slightly modify the Jira. So first you need to describe your needs. Why do you need multiple projects? In my case, we work on 10 different projects at the same time. Also, I have separate projects for tracking daily meetings and code review tasks, so I can understand and have analytics how much time guys spend on meetings, code review, and planning. And I have all of that task in separate projects. Then you need to create and configure projects, filters, and labels. Let me show you how to do that. First of all, you need to have projects on what are you willing to work on. Let's use this API e-commerce platform and CI/CD project types. I already created them. Then you need to create a project which you are going to use to manage your sprint boards. Let's go to projects, create new one, go to software development. Important, it must be Scrum type of project. Use template, select company manage, manage multiple projects in one sprint. Okay, MMP. Next, continue. Okay, you have this project, you have default MMP board. Now you need to configure this board. Go to board settings. One sec. Before configuring this board, go to backlog and create a sprints. You have this MMP sprints. Let's rename it and multiple projects and update. Now create a couple more. And remember this multiple projects. This is the name of your sprint. Let's copy it for future needs. Then go to board settings, go to this board filter, and we need to modify the filter for existing board. You can do it by press this edit field query. And what you need to change right now, the board is configured to display only tasks from this MMP project. But you need to add filter like that, sprint, and add the name of your sprints. Important part, you don't need to add numbers. You see Jira propose you select specific numbers, but you need to save only the sprint name and press enter first and then save filter, save changes. So right now the board you use have this filter. Let's refresh. Yes, sprint is in multiple projects. Now let's try to add our tasks to some of these new sprints. Let's go to our projects. And what the name was? Multiple projects. Okay, multiple projects. 1, Let's add some multiple project threes, third sprint, fourth, and one. In this field, Jira will show you all the projects from your whole Jira configuration. You also can limit and press only sprints in current project, but this list will be empty in this case. So you need to uncheck this checkbox if you see it. And go to the second project. It was not this one. It was this. And also add. Okay. Okay, so now we add a couple tasks to this sprint one. Go back to the filter, and when you run search again, you see all the tasks. So we assign some of them to sprint number 1, 2, 3, but in general, all of them are here. Now we need to go to our board and check the tasks on our board. But right now it's empty. And let's figure out why it's empty and let's fix it. So go to the project board settings. You see everything looks correct. Sprint multiple projects, tasks are here but doesn't exist in your board. You need to go to this layout, columns table, and you see next Jira board configurations. By default, it creates automatically statuses and these columns. And on the left side, you see the statuses from different projects. And you, before working with that, you must map them. So you need to assign specific status to the columns where it should be displayed. So backlog should be in to do. We have also code review in progress, ready to deploy, testing we created for previous video. So let's add columns. We have code review, column, we have ready to deploy, and we have what? Testing. Okay, we have testing. Okay, so done is here, ready to deploy will be here, testing here, to do in progress. So you just need to swipe the columns and just do some mappings and save it, go to your board, and voila, right now you see all the tasks you assigned for multiple sprints on the same board. Go to the active sprints, board is empty because you don't start the sprint. Press start sprint button, remember about estimates, and start it. Sprint started. Why it's empty? Okay, you just need to refresh it. Sprint started. In backlog, you can still manage your current sprint and your future sprints. And that's how it works. You can, anytime you need, go to board settings, go to this edit filter query, and you can add additional rules you need for this board. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe to my channel if you like it. Left your comments. I hope that you learn what is sprint, what the required checklist to do before start to work on sprints, how to configure sprint for single project in Jira, and how to configure sprints for multiple Jira projects. I prepared a couple life hacks you must know about working with sprints. First, you cannot assign subtasks to sprints. Jira works only with bugs, epics, or tasks in sprint. And if you have a task with multiple subtasks, all of them will be automatically added to the sprint. My recommendation, don't assign epic to sprints. Do it only if there is specific needs for it. And all tasks, as I told before, must have original and remaining estimate fields before sprint start. And all tasks must be in status category done before sprint ends. Remember about these rules. If you have own experience about user Jira and sprints, let me know in comments. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel. Bye bye.